Well, after listening to the new Steven Wilson album, I can honestly say it's a bit spacey. Let's get into it, shall we? The press release of this album states that this is a real return to progressive and expansive music, and I'd have to agree. Of course, the overview is that recognised phenomenon of the overview effect. This is the effect on astronauts from seeing the Earth from space and subsequently undergo a transformative cognitive shift. This usually takes the form of an overwhelming appreciation and perception of the planet's beauty. Yet conversely, many see the Earth as insignificant and lost in the vastness of space.
The recognised phenomenon experienced by astronauts the first time they go into space and they view our planet, the Earth, they experience this kind of cognitive shift, change of perspective, when you understand the place we occupy in time and space and the massive size of the universe and our existence relative to that.
And this sense of limitlessness induces a sense of futility in the observer, a feeling of being insignificant. To quote Nick Cave, "A star is just a memory of a star. We are just fireflies pulsing dimly in the dark." And the spatial quality of this album evokes the vastness of space, where one can experience a sense of awe, yet also absolute separation from humanity. Steven Wilson has said, "It is a 42-minute long journey based on the reported overview effect, whereby astronauts seeing the Earth from space undergo a transformative cognitive shift, most often experiencing an overwhelming appreciation and perception of beauty and an increased sense of connection to other people and the Earth as a whole. However, not all experiences are positive. Some see the Earth truly for what it is, insignificant and lost in the vastness of space, and the human race as a troubled species. As a reflection of that, the album presents images and stories of life on Earth, both good and bad." This album consists of just 2 tracks, Objects Outlive Us and the Overview, of course based on the overview effect. And for an album concerned with space, this album is ironically rather atmospheric. I would also describe it as expansive, progressive music. Paul Wilson has been dipping his big toe into for quite a while now, with his solo works like The Raven That Refused to Sing, as well as the stuff he's done with Porcupine Tree. There is a gorgeous equilibrium, a balance achieved between these 2 pieces, made up of distinctive musical sections that ebb and flow, and more importantly flow from one to the other, as exceptional, continuous music. One critic has written, "Wilson's 21st century progressive music updates the classic prog musical palette to incorporate everything from glistening electronics to post-rock and beyond, which brings the genre right into the beating heart of the current musical landscape." And the overview achieves this by including a spate of mostly brilliant musicians that all contribute to the musical palette of the album, including Craig Blundell, Adam Holzman on keyboards, Randy McStein on guitars, as well as some lyrics from XTC's Andy Partridge. Lyrics that help drive the narrative of the number Objects Outlive Us. The resulting album is extraordinary. I much prefer it to the electronica of the Harmony Codex. It has a vibe that gets under your skin from the opening, a singular sound and vision that borrows from and references Wilson's 30-plus year career. One can detect classic Porcupine Tree records, the narrative sprawl of The Raven That Refused to Sing, and even the electronic blueprint of the Future Bites. It sounds very cosmic music to me, in this cosmic music, of course. And there are certainly nods and references as well to his last album, I think, the Harmony Codex. And the artwork for the overview was illustrated, photographed by Hajo Muller. Please forgive me if I've mispronounced that. And of course designed by Carl Glover. Their combined efforts creating a visual and thematic accompaniment to this music, perfectly encapsulating the album's exploration of space and perspective. And the first section of Objects Outlive Us begin with the disembodied voice of Steven Wilson adding to that sense of vastness, communicating a feeling of just floating in space. And the music is beatless at this juncture, driven by strings and synth pulses. It certainly gives the number an appropriately remote feel, shall we say.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Wow, neat. So this is space.
And you get the cymbals wrapped around this piano motif, which is absolutely fabulous, which marshals in a kind of building tension. Yet the music seems to still remain rather detached and floaty. The chanting voices that are introduced certainly help drive it along, I think. And at one point it embraces a woozy psychedelia, a beautiful intertwining of synths and guitars that explodes at one point, which I can only describe as kind of a post-rock vibe. Distorted bass and screeching guitar add a chaotic and disorientating feel, before referencing previous sections. And a shout out to Craig Blundell, whose drumming really moves this number along, as a percussive propulsion to it, as we orbit amid eerie synth and spacey sounding guitars. And Wilson's vocals are languid and unaffected, which suit the music and the theme of the piece. And the second suite, the overview, of course, is slightly shorter, commencing with what sounds like radio static, and a glitchy sort of electronic opening. Roten Wilson lists aspects of the endless expanse of the universe, which is a nice touch, I feel. A string motif ushers the listener to an anticipated shift in the music, being moved into more acoustic arrangement accompanied by Wilson's vocals. And that Steven Wilson vocal delay is used very effectively here. It's almost become a trope in his music, and it certainly fits in with the overall concept and theme of this album. And then we get the very techno synth line headed by the use of Rhodes piano, some beautiful crystalline guitar lines and riffs. And the guitar lends a soaring effect. It's that Rocket Man moment. In fact, the guitars on this number feel like the guitars on those early Floyd numbers with Gilmour. And there was a psychedelic feel to the end of it as the rich harmonies intertwine with the music absolutely beautifully. And the final part is this beautiful melding of electric, acoustic guitars and synths. This is a thoroughly enjoyable album that moves us back to the psychedelic prog of Porcupine Tree, as opposed to the more electronic dalliances of late. I suspect he's finally put away those Tangerine Dream albums. The music is immersive, powerful and hooky in some places, with some gorgeous guitar lines and great vocals, an excellent use of certain production affectations to create a sense of grandeur and vastness. Yet he does this whilst leaving the listener still very connected to this music. Anyway, you've been watching my critique of the new Steven Wilson album overview. There are purchasing links just below this video. If you're new to this channel, please do click like, subscribe and check that notification bell, do all that stuff. And if you have a moment, check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done at Classic Album Review. Become a Patreon, why not? There's a fine body of work over there now. We're becoming a real classic rock community. Other than that, I'll just leave you with my closing salvo, which is, hope you're well, staying safe, and of course that you keep listening.